to today's podcast. And today I am chatting to Jessica Valentine. What a great name that is.
Thank you.
And Jessica's going to tell us a little bit about what she does, what her business is. So fire away, Jessica. I'm really intrigued to hear more.
Hello, it's nice to be here. So basically I work with people, women, to help them sort of feel empowered. I work with people that struggle with anxiety, depression, work-related stress, and various types of self-harm, relationship issues, that sort of thing. One of the things that I find, especially a common theme working with women, is as we change, a sort of exploration of sense of self and who we are, and accepting that we are changing and we are getting older, and then our bodies are changing, our brains are changing. So that's what I do. I work online and I work in Brighton and in London.
Okay, so quite a versatile business. Where are you from originally?
So originally I'm American. So I'm originally from Ohio, but I've moved from the East Coast, and I've lived a lot of different places in America. But yeah, I'm here now, at least during this chapter of my life, or paragraph.
So a little bit about the background. So you're a psychotherapist, is that right? Or is it?
Well, I'm a Chartered Counselling Psychologist. So I have a couple degrees in psychology, mainly a sort of educational psychopathology, which is sort of learning differences and all sorts of that stuff. But yeah, so I guess people would call me a psychologist, clinical psychologist, counseling. I've got lots of different things that I do.
All right. So if somebody was very distressed with the menopause, they found themselves completely overwhelmed, their self-esteem has suddenly dropped, and they came to you and they said, look, I don't know what's going on with my body. My GP has taken some tests. He says, I'm not in the menopause, but I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can you help me? What would you suggest? Because that's obviously a perimenopause sign, anxiety, depression, if they're that kind of age, I suppose. So,
well, the first thing I would say is your GP a man? But how do you know? But anyway, I guess the thing is, we would discuss body changes, diet, but also but when our body changes, even if we have the sort of predisposed thing with anxiety, the menopause, I don't know why we have to call it like that, but when we reach the menopausal phase, we do have increased anxiety, a heightened awareness. So that's quite interesting. There's probably a survival skill. There's probably a reason why we are this way. So it's almost just sort of talking about one-on-one with like what's happening in this person's world and why she's struggling with it. Is it because the GP just said you don't have it? So what does she have if she feels this way? So it's these little basic communication sort of phrases that can trigger doubt and uncertainty, which then increases anxiety.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like she's just gone to the GP and there's nothing wrong with her, but she has all these weird symptoms. So what is it then? So that's the message that I heard,
Yes. Yeah, very much so. And so it's kind of brain fog, isn't it? And it's lack of clarity, mood swings. Would you help somebody to decipher what it was? Would you help them in a session? How do your sessions work? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, I'm a humanistic sort of holistic. So if someone comes in, I look at everything. I do counseling. I do lots of different things. I've got a big box of tricks. I do break out of the norm, but I would really talk about lifestyle firstly. And I always ask, obviously, if they're on medication, history, that sort of thing, any medication. But when you're going through the changes, you do lose a lot of vitamins. And also, if you struggle with depression and anxiety, you're putting a lot of pressure and a lot of demand on your nervous system, which means that your vitamin B, you might be depleted of, lots of sort of vitamins. So I would basically look at diet. I would suggest some herbal remedies, vitamins, things that I've used myself. Also, I would look at caffeine and coffee and dairy, not very helpful. And exercise, sleep, stresses. I would also look at support systems. and self-care. So I'm all about the self-care. So, I think society today, we do so much that, we're not resting enough. We're not sleeping enough. So like self-care is also sleeping and not feeling guilty about it,
Yeah. So
and also the self-acceptance that we were talking about.
yeah. And with self-acceptance, is there a guide that you would use? So how does that to accept oneself, if women are suffering from anxiety, what's the process? Would you sit them down, and is there a form, or how does it work?
I mean, obviously in the hospital setting, you have to use these forms, but when you work for yourself, you can do whatever, but you can measure it. But the thing is, it's all about the journey, and it's all about an individual journey, um, you know, and also connection. So not everyone that I might speak to might connect with me. So it's all about finding that person that you could speak to, that you can let your hair down with, and trust and feel safe, basically feel safe with. So it's just feeling safe with somebody, it's having a connection, and yeah, I'm gonna have to repeat the questions a bit early. Self-care and the journey. So everyone is different. Like for me, it's just talking with powerful women, strong women, women that are moving forward, such as yourself, and surrounding myself with those types of people that get it. That's a validation. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
So that's going to help me grow. Unless if I'm hanging out with other people that are not on my journey, similar journey, or people that are telling me there's nothing wrong with me, then that's going to confuse my journey. Self-acceptance starts with being kind, exploring where these sort of core beliefs come from. I'm not good enough. I'm fat. I'm not clever. I can't. All these sort of core beliefs. Challenging these core beliefs, just like you do with your nutrition and fitness. Come on, you can do it. Right? We need to rewire and retrain our brain. And that's why it's good to speak to somebody that is either has experience, education, or mostly has gone through the similar things, because that's how you really connect with people when you share stories.
I mean, let's just touch on diet specifically. So if somebody had an issue with food that was very emotional, how do you break an emotional attachment to food? Is that a childhood thing? Where does it come from?
Well, I can only speak through my experience, and every eating disorder or eating issue is different, because sometimes, like growing up, my siblings will say, oh yeah, mom and dad, eat your food, eat it all, eat it all. I don't do that with my kids. But when I've been treated through my emotional eating, so it's like more of an addiction. So like I can be addicted to anything. I could be addicted to work. I could be addicted to bread. Bread's my thing. Pizza, food. But when I was working through my food addiction, I guess, I had this amazing therapy called craniosacral psychotherapy. Have you ever had that before?
Yeah, tell us more.
It's pretty incredible. It's like it you lie there, it's kind of Reiki, but she also, it's like family systems work. So exactly what you said, it's going back to kind of the inner child. But for me, it was not having a voice, not being, and I think this is an underlying sort of ancestral trauma for women. We are like, our intuition's bred out, because it's a sort of a patriarch, isn't it? Especially in England, which I find I don't have a voice here, but I'm learning how to have a bigger voice and to be myself and say, look, I'm American. I'm sorry, this is what's happening. You don't like it? Whatever. So with my eating, when you have children, it's more like boredom. And what do I do with myself? I'm going to sweep. A lot of moms sweep food. Are you going to eat that? I'm going to eat it. You're going to eat that? I'm going to eat that, and my food. And that's also, that's a habit. But for me, the eating was more like I'm stressed, or I want to verbalize something. So to answer your question, for me, complementary therapies are really good at finding the core. Although I do work with young people and older people that have eating disorders. So
Okay, all right. So you mentioned, was it cranial?
yeah, craniosacral psychotherapy. Basically, it's like Reiki. I don't know. It's just magical. Like, it sounds so alternative probably to some people, but I've literally had a few sessions. I've tried everything, almost everything. And this has been the most effective for me for breaking breaking whatever's blocking me.
Very interesting. So I suppose mixing that with some kind of way of communicating to somebody like you who's experienced
Yeah.
in self-motivation
Mm.
and positive thinking, then
Mm.
then the two
But
work well.
but even with you, like the difference is when I work one-on-one, I mean, it's inappropriate for me to touch my clients.
Mhm.
So a lot of these therapies combine talking and touching. You can probably touch while you're moving and that's a different, deeper connection. That's why in the past when I've had personal trainers, I tell them everything, because it's more of especially for people that are more neurodiverse,
Yeah.
that move around and need to talk and move at the same time.
Okay, so that deeper connection can be
Yeah.
made touch. I see that. So if anybody was curious about what you do, how would they get in touch? What are your handles? What's your website?
My handles.
Yeah.
So I have Get Well Brighton,
Okay.
and then Online Therapy Helps. So those are my two I've got two websites, and obviously they can email me anytime.
Okay. What's your email?
Jessica at brightonwellnesscenter.co.uk.
It's fantastic. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for your time. And ladies, do take Jessica up if you do need some help with breaking old habits and wanting to adopt some new ones.
Yeah.